Hello, today we're going to take on my Sennelier palette, honey based, made in Paris, France, and 1893 they've been around since. Take a look at that baby. She is packed and she is ready to go, so I'm going to grab the chart and we're going to get started and we'll talk while we're swatching. We got ourselves a big chart and we'll be using our normal Escoda 8 Perla. Been really enjoying this for my swatches, and let's zoom in on each section so you can see real nice and clear. Sorry about the shake. And our first up is French Vermilion, PR242. These tend to be really rich in pigment, as you can see as I'm laying it down. Extremely transparent and extremely easy to layer. So, lots of people who are into florals really love these paints. Beautiful, vibrant. Scarlet Lake, PR188. Hopefully by me having so many paints right next to one another, you can compare and see if you need one, don't need it. I will mention if they look very similar. Like these two, you do not need both of these in a palette. Alizarin, PY83, PR209, PR179. It's a very beautiful color. Hopefully my focus is staying on the paper. Sometimes it grabs my hand. Bright red, and they have no pigment information for this color. I double checked and triple checked, and I don't know why, but no pigment information. But it is glorious. Sorry if you can hear the trucks outside. My home is never a quiet one. Cadmium Red Deep, PR108. I am not pre-wetting these. They're coming straight out of the pan like this. I like to do that for wettability. And I hope the yellow tape is not distracting. It's the only one that I had that was thin to get this many on a page. Crimson, PR209, PR146, and PR206. I think Sennelier is really known for lots of people who do florals because of their layering capabilities, as well as they're really good at doing their bright colors like this. This palette is sided heavy on colors and not neutrals. Sennelier Red, PR254. And I call this palette my delicate palette just because the layering capabilities are so good that you can actually put down very light washes of color and slowly build it up. Quinacridone Red, PR209. Rose Madder, PV19. Carmine, PV19. Let me know in the comments what you do during these swatches. Are you just intently watching, or are you painting while we're doing this, or kicking your feet up? These two are very similar. You probably wouldn't need both of those. They're almost identical. Rose Opera, a fluorescent pigment, PR81.1 or colon 1. Kind of an unusual pigment collab there. Sorry if you hear the doggy in the background. It's a very nice fluorescent color. Helios Purple, PR122. Cobalt Violet Light, PR122, PV16, and PW6. It has some opacity to it. You can see how it's covering up the writing. Magenta, PV19. Very different from the other PV19s that we swatched. It's amazing how they can get such different colors out of the same pigment. Red Violet, PV16. Kind of a different one here. Very pretty color. More delicate, I would say, than some. PV23 is our dioxazine violet. And this one gets very dark. Indigo. PB60, PB15:1, and PBK7. Gets nice and dark. Indanthrone, PB60. These rewet so easily though. There's really nothing to it. I literally just dip my damp brush into them and this is how they are. There's a reason they've been around so long. Cobalt, PB28. You know, when you talk about the big brands, this is definitely one of them. Along with Schminke, Daniel Smith, Holbein. Ultramarine Deep, PB29. Honey-based paints usually really do re-wet so much easier than the others, although it does make traveling with them harder, so I guess it's a total trade-off. Ultramarine Light, PB29, PY15. Has a slightly different hue to it, but not by much. You definitely don't need both, and if I was going to say go for one, I'd say go for the deep, just because it's a single pigment. Because they look so similar. Phthalo, PB15:3. Gonna be our typical phthalo. Oh, I almost ran off. Terribly sorry about that. This one is like Cerulose, PB15:3, PW4. This is going to be one of your opaque ones. Doesn't feel too opaque. It's kind of in between. Oops. It's the only problem with using thin tape. I have to make a mistake every time. Perfect. Cerulean, PB28. And again. Having a hard time here. Got a little too much water playing around here. It's all right, we'll get it. Very pretty. Great for sky. Turquoise green, PG50. This one I don't think it looks as green. I think it looks more blue. Gorgeous color. Stunning. And we come into Forest, PBK7, PG7, PY42. This is a luscious color. Little bit artificial looking. But gets very dark. Let's move us up just a tiny bit. Phthalo Deep, PB15:3, PG7. Nice mixing color. I don't know why I have, let me just check something. It's Venetian. Venetian green. PG7, PG18. I think I meant to write Viridian. And I'm pretty sure I did. When it's a color chart this big, there's always a couple of mistakes. Very vibrant. Emerald, PG36. This one kind of appears like it has white in it, but it does not say it. I'm just going on consistency and how it kind of feels. Sennelier green, PG36. Nice and vibrant. Not quite shock value. It's kind of in the middle of its vibrant counterparts, which you'll see up and coming. Hookers, PY83 and PG36. This seems more vibrant than most hooker greens. Very pretty though. Cadmium Green Light, PG7, PY35. This is one of those brighter ones. If you need some vibrant greens, this is a good one. Phthalo Green Light, PG7, PY153. This is a very vibrant green as well. It does have a feeling of some opacity. Green Umber, PB60, PBK7, PY83. This one is very dark. And I think I prefer this one over the forest. But after they get dry, at the end we'll take a closer look. Then we have brown pink, which doesn't look brown and it doesn't look pink, but it's PY150, PG7, and PBR23. This looks like a green gold. I don't know how they get the name. Bright yellow green, PG7, PY2. And this is your green on steroids here. Lemon, PY3. Nice and vibrant. Cadmium Lemon, PY35. Both of those are very bright. Then we go into prime yellow, which tends to have a little bit more orange tone to it, PY74. I don't think you'd need all three of these yellows in a palette. Could definitely just pick one of your favorite. Oh, you can see that on camera, I hope, the differences in those. Now we get into Indian yellow, PY154 and PY153. Yellow Lake, PY150. This one I definitely consider much more orangey. Naples Yellow Deep, PBR24. And I think I like regular Naples yellow better. I don't know what it is about this one, but I don't take to it. Maybe it looks too pink. This next one is called Sophie Yellow, PY93. I'm not exactly sure why they call it Sophie. I don't think I've come across a Sophie color in another major brand. I'm just a winner today. And then next to it we have Sophie Yellow Deep, PY83, PY153. I think the regular Sophie that's right here, I think that's pretty close to in this sector. I don't think you would need that as well. Yellow Ochre, PY43. It's exactly what I'd expect out of a yellow ochre. I hope these are helping you make choices so you don't have to spend your money on things you don't want. Let's smooth this over just a bitty. Gold Ochre, PY119, PY42, and PY83. And this is a lot more golden than the previous one. They're very different. This color, I think, says more pink brown than the brown pink that we saw above. Raw Sienna. Now that we've done a few earth tones, they are a smidgen harder to rewet, not by a lot. PBR7, just a hair more so. Red Orange, PO43 and PY83. And this one is your ultra saturated, ultra bright, knock your socks off orange. Sennelier Orange, PO73. This is super bright as well. Very pretty. Very much more red than the previous red orange. Burnt Sienna, PBR7. You can probably notice that after my brush kind of dampens the paint a little bit, that so much more pigment comes out on the second dip. Venetian Red, PR101. Perline Brown, PR209, PY83, and PR179. It's kind of a unusual color. Very red. Sorry about you hearing the phone. I turned it way down, tossed it across the room, and we still can hear it. Caput Mortem, PR 101. Van Dyke Brown, PBK 7, PR 101. Sepia Warm, PBR 7, PBK 7. Raw Umber, PBR 7. Trying to get you some variants in these swatches. Hopefully it shows up. These paints are very consistent from one to the other. They all feel very similar. You know how some handmade paints or some brands tend to feel very different from different colors? These have a very consistent feel across the board. So I'd say if you're newer to watercolors, this might be one of the brands you might like to go for. I also always suggest Holbein too because they move so slow. Transparent Brown, PBK 7, PR 101. Plus, if you get them on sale, like on Amazon or Jackson's has some really good watercolor sales. Roman Schmal is another one that's excellent to start with. Burnt Umber, PBR 7. Sorry if the camera wiggles just a tiny bit. I do stand up when I do this so that I can kind of look down on what I'm doing and lean over the camera and stuff. And sometimes my angle kind of bumps things. I try to keep the house quiet and without a lot of bumps and stuff, but it seems like there's always sound and always jiggle. How is your house at home? Is your house a real quiet house, or is your house one that has a whole bunch of action going on all the time? Payne's Gray, PV19, PB15:1, PBK7. Nice and dark. Leans to the blue. neutral tint. Let's move this over so we don't get too close to the edge again. PB60, PBK7, and PR209 is in this neutral tint. And as you can see, it came out very, very dark. You would only need a tiny bit of this one to make it look real dark. Ivory Black, PBK9. Nice warm ivory. Light gray, PW6, PB29, PBK7. And this one seems to have a cool cast to my eyes. Sorry if you can hear the trucks again out back. It seems I always tend to make videos on garbage day. I guess that just works into my schedule. Sennelier gray, PW6, PBK9, PG7. This definitely seems more like the warm gray. Has a slight greenish cast to it. Then we have warm gray, PW6, PY42, PBK11, PR101. That was a mouthful. This one reminds me of like a buff titanium. And then we have our PW6, our white. And let's see how opaque it is. We'll go right over the writing. And it's pretty opaque. So this one would actually do maybe a little bit of coverage or highlights, which that's kind of nice. If you're going to do a white, you might as well have a white. And let's go ahead and bring this in. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. And there is my Sennelier palette. We'll let those dry and I'll give you a couple comments and we'll take a closer look. Hopefully this gives you a clue if any of these colors or Sennelier is right for you. Being honey based, you know, that has its pros and cons. If you like easy to wet paint over the traveling capabilities, this might be the brand for you. Although in pan form, if you order them in pan form, they tend not to slide around or anything. You can travel with them just fine, but that would depend on your humidity and so forth that you have in your area or that you're traveling in. I think some of the colors they have are so nice and brilliant. So if you're into layering or florals, this is definitely a awesome brand for you to go for. Also, if you're starting out, I would say that this would be a good one to go for. They're easily accessible at most art supply stores and you can get them around the world. I hope this has been helpful so you could compare some colors, and I appreciate you sticking with me. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Bye-bye.